Lawyers for the president-elect filed an appeal with New York State Court to dismiss the hush money case before Friday's sentencing hearing. Trump was convicted in May on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. At the same time, Trump's attorneys asked the attorney general to either decline to release special counsel Jack Smith's upcoming report or to hand the matter over to Trump's incoming administration. Smith investigated allegations of election interference as well as alleged mishandling of classified documents. Trump spoke to reporters this morning as he gets ready to return to office in less than 2 weeks.
I defeated deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged individual. I guess he's on his way back to The Hague. We did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong on anything. And the people saw that.
All right, let's bring in former federal prosecutor Rick Convertino. Rick, thank you for being here with us.
Good evening, Terrence. How are you?
Doing great. So a lot of people very curious about this report and what it will uncover. What are your thoughts on what this report will show to the public?
Well, it's going to be extremely damaging. It's a compilation of 2 years of investigation and the return of the indictment based on the grand jury's contemplation, and then the true bill was returned. All of the motions that were filed, all of the evidence that's going to be presented or would be presented in the case had it come to fruition, is going to be included in this report, including conclusions about President-elect Trump's culpability, which is exceedingly high in this case, according to Jack Smith and the special prosecution. That report, because of its damaging nature, is trying to be, they're trying to keep that report from becoming public. Trump's attorneys, they're doing everything they can. They have the help of the federal district court judge, Judge Cannon, in the Southern District of Florida in the Northern Division. She has ruled that the report cannot leave the Department of Justice. In other words, it can't be made public, although she has no concurrent jurisdiction over the case and no ability, legally, no justification to enter that ruling. So it's a quagmire. We'll see what happens. She's ruled on the outcome of the issue, of the gravamen of the issue, but she has no jurisdiction upon which to rule. So we'll see what the Justice Department does.
Yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of effort, Rick, to keep a lot of these details from coming to light. What kind of damage could this do?
Well, it's a public relations nightmare. It's not a legal issue. It's a public relations issue. Legally, what happens at the conclusion, according to Part 64 of the Code of Federal Regulations, is that the special counsel turns his conclusory report over to the attorney general. The attorney general who then turns it over to the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the Congress for their review. And if there's a time when the attorney general believes it's in the public interest and there's no confidentiality or privacy issues, he then can release it to the public, which most assuredly he will do in this case. There is absolutely no way that this conclusory report by the special counsel is not going to be made public.
And of course, the former president has said that this is just a smear campaign. Sometimes he uses the term witch hunt. Obviously, it could do some damage to his image, but just in terms of legal ramifications moving forward, what is he looking at?
Well, he's looking at the conclusion based upon the investigation and the evidence presented before the grand jury that if this case were to go to trial, that the President of the United States, according to Jack Smith, would be convicted on all counts beyond a reasonable doubt. That's going to be the conclusion. Now, the difference is I don't think there's going to be anything new that hasn't been made public before by way of motions by the special counsel. The only difference is this is one compact document that will be bound and printed and probably sold at your local bookstore ad nauseum, and it will be one place that people can go for reference as to what the conclusions of the special counsel are, which will be extremely damaging to the president-elect. Now, remember, Terrence, there are two additional Oliveira and Nuño, the two additional defendants that are still extant. In other words, the case against them has not been dismissed. The case against President-elect Trump was dismissed based upon the justice's interpretation, the DOJ's interpretation of the longstanding internal memorandum, which says that a sitting president cannot be prosecuted criminally. That's why Jack Smith went ahead and dismissed the case against the president-elect at this time. But and because he dismissed the case, he's required under the Code of Federal Regulations to prepare a report, which is what we're talking about here, the report regarding all of the evidence, all of the witnesses' analysis, everything that went into the 2-year investigation in this case is going to be in one compact document.
Yeah, and there is a lot to uncover there, also in terms of the hush money scheme. We've heard a lot of conversations there, and also with the former president's thoughts on pardoning some of those people who were involved with the January 6th riots. What are your thoughts there, just legally, at the fact that he is considering that? He says his team is still looking at it, exactly what they'll do.
Well, legally, it's kind of a no-brainer. He has full authority based upon the Constitution of the United States to pardon any of those convicted because they're federal convictions under the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Columbia. So he has the full legal authority based upon the Constitution to pardon or commute sentences at will without any review or oversight. That's the way the Constitution is written, and we've seen that President Biden has taken advantage of that, just like every other president before them has done the same. So if he chooses to pardon these, as you can see on your screen, I'm watching your screen right now. I mean, it would be an abomination. It would be an absolute miscarriage of justice, but it's certainly within his purview to do so.
Yeah, and lastly, Rick, I just want to ask you, just in terms of your own career, you've seen a lot of things. How unusual is it for an incoming president to have so many different legal things just kind of being in the background?
Well, you don't have to be a federal prosecutor or defense attorney to understand I mean, it's a one-off. It's an outlier. It's never happened before in the history of the United States. It's absolutely beyond description. Now you see that in other countries. In France right now, the former prime minister is on trial, and he has also previously been convicted. You see that Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel, the Israeli prime minister, was recently in trial, and he's been indicted. So it happens in other countries, but it's certainly beyond the pale that could happen in the United States of America.
Yeah, very unusual. Former federal prosecutor Rick Convertino. Rick, thank you.